There is a prison in the Negev desert in Israel called cited, and what has been happening inside its walls is so disturbing that even Israeli human rights lawyers called it a torture site. We are not talking about allegations from hostile sources. We are talking about UN reports, Israeli whistleblowers, Israeli human rights organizations and whistleblowers, and medical professionals who examined the victims themselves. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what is being done to Palestinian prisoners, who is protecting the people doing it, and why the world is largely silent.
Since October 7th, 2023, Israel has detained thousands of Palestinians from Gaza, many of them civilians with no proven links to any military activity. Around 9,500 Palestinians, including hundreds of women and children, were imprisoned, roughly one-third of them without charge or trial. These people were swept up in mass arrest campaigns across Palestinian territory. Many of those detained were accused of having ties to Hamas and interrogated about hostages and tunnels, but there was reportedly no evidence linking them to direct involvement in any attack. These weren't fighters captured on a battlefield, these were doctors, fathers, civilians pulled from hospitals and homes. Now let's talk about what was done to them once they were inside. Israel's human rights organization, B'Tselem, released a report describing the Israeli prison system as, in their own words, a network of torture camps detailing widespread beating, starvation, deprivation of medical care, and physical and sexual abuse. Inspectors from Israel's own public defense office, who visited 4 prisons in 2024, documented skeletal prisoners and witnessed physical evidence of beating and medical neglect. These are not reports from Palestinian media, these are Israeli government inspectors looking inside Israeli prisons and documenting what they found. Cited became the most notorious of these facilities. On July 5, 2024, a Palestinian prisoner at Cited suffered cracked ribs, a punctured lung, and a torn rectum at the hands of 5 Israeli reservists, while he was cuffed at the hands and ankles and blindfolded. A leaked video of soldiers sexually assaulting a Palestinian prisoner at the same facility aired on Israeli television. When 9 soldiers were apprehended for questioning over the abuse, Israeli protesters quickly gathered at the base in their defense, and Israeli officials and Knesset members publicly advocated for the perpetrators' release and sought to justify what they had done. Let that sink in. Not condemnation, not silence, open defense of men accused of sexually assaulting a prisoner in chains. And people are dying. At least 94 Palestinians died in Israeli custody between October 7, 2023 and August 2025, according to Physicians for Human Rights Israel, a medical human rights group, and they note this figure may represent only a portion of the actual total. Their report identified physical violence and medical negligence as the 2 primary causes. A former Cited guard told the organization that colleagues were at some point instructed by their commanders, who she said participated in the beatings, to reduce the number of deaths, not to stop the abuse, to reduce the deaths. That is the distinction they were operating with. Before I continue, if you find this important, please share this video right now. The information is being suppressed across mainstream platforms and the Muslim community needs to hear it. Hit share, send it to your contacts, post it in your groups. Now, let's talk about the part of the story that reveals the full picture, the cover-up. Here is where it gets even more revealing. In March 2026, Israel's military advocate general dropped all charges against the 5 soldiers accused of sexual assault at Cited, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu publicly welcomed the decision. Amnesty International called it an unconscionable chapter in a legal system with a long-standing pattern of granting impunity to those who commit grave crimes against Palestinians. This is not a system that went wrong. This is a system working exactly as designed, where soldiers can abuse prisoners on camera, get charged, and then have those charges dropped with the Prime Minister's applause. The international legal community has taken note. The ICC issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant in November 2024, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The ICC has since rejected Israel's legal challenges to halt the investigation, meaning the warrants remain in place, yet those warrants have not been enforced. Netanyahu continues to travel. Western governments continue to hedge. As of November 2024, only 15 indictments had been filed against soldiers for committing crimes across the entire war. Thousands of victims, dozens of documented deaths, UN reports, medical reports, whistleblower testimonies, and 15 indictments. What you have just heard is not a conspiracy theory. It isn't propaganda. Every single source I've cited in this video, but the Islam Physicians for Human Rights, the UN, the ICC, Israel's own public defense office, these are mainstream, documented, credible institutions. The question isn't whether this is happening. The question is why so few people are talking about it. Share this video because this is how information spreads. And stay with this channel because we will keep decoding what others won't say.